I never expected the quiet to be so loud. When Jason died, everything in my world shattered. My husband, my partner, my anchor in the storm of early motherhood, gone in an instant. They say grief moves in stages: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. But no one told me about the stage where your lungs forget how to breathe, or the moment you wake up each morning hoping it was all a dream, only for silence to crush you all over again. It was 7 months ago. Jason had taken the car out for a short drive, a routine errand. He never made it back. A collision, they said. Instant, they promised. But instant or not, my life was split in two, before the call and after. The days blurred into nights, and I stopped keeping track of the calendar. The boys, Eli and Noah, barely toddlers, were too young to understand why Daddy wasn't coming home. I did what I could, but most days, I barely made it out of bed. My mom came by. Neighbors dropped off casseroles, but nothing stuck. Nothing helped. I didn't want help. I wanted Jason. Then came Ryan. Jason's younger brother, Ryan Harper, showed up on a cold Tuesday morning. He looked so much like Jason that I almost dropped the mug I was holding. Same hazel eyes, same crooked smile, even the way he carried himself. It was like Jason had walked through the door. I froze, and for a breathless second, I forgot. And then it all came crashing back. "I'm here to help," he said simply. And he did. He moved in without hesitation, folding into the household like he'd always been part of it. He took over the night feedings when I couldn't stop crying. He ran the errands I was too overwhelmed to face. He played with Eli and Noah, who, in their childlike innocence, started calling him Daddy without prompting. The first time it happened, I corrected them. So did Ryan. But it kept happening. Again and again. I think we both just started letting it happen. Because, in a way, it was easier. Less painful. Ryan was kind. Patient. Steady. He looked at me like I wasn't broken. Like I was still Olivia, the woman his brother had loved. And in his eyes, I began to find a strange sort of comfort. Familiarity. It wasn't just how he looked. It was the way he listened. The way he held Noah when he cried. The way he knew all of Jason's stories because they'd lived them together. I started to call him Jason by accident. At first, I caught myself. Apologized. Then it happened more. Sometimes, I think I did it on purpose. Sometimes, I think I wanted to pretend. Just for a little while. But last night, everything changed. It was late. The boys were asleep. Ryan had made tea, and we were sitting on the porch. The night was quiet, save for the crickets. He told a story about him and Jason getting lost during a camping trip in high school. I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in what felt like years. And then I looked at him. Really looked. His eyes held mine a moment too long. Something inside me broke. Or maybe it woke up. Maybe I just wanted to feel something that wasn't sadness. I leaned in. I didn't think. My lips were on his before I even realized. He froze. Then, gently, he pulled away. "Olivia," he whispered, and it was like ice water over my soul. The shame hit me like a tidal wave. "I'm sorry," I breathed, but he was already standing. He didn't say anything else. He grabbed his coat, walked out the door, and didn't come back. Now I sit here in this empty house, the boys still asleep upstairs, my lips still tingling from a kiss that never should have happened. What have I done? The silence after the storm, now added to our evolving story. It deepens the emotional stakes, introduces tension, and sets the stage for more twists ahead, all in Olivia's voice. Chapter 2. The silence after the storm. The house is too quiet. Not the peaceful kind that whispers of rest, but the kind that screams of abandonment. The absence of Ryan's footsteps, the lack of the kettle's soft whistle in the morning, the stillness of the air, it all presses down on me like a weight I can't lift. I haven't slept. I replay the moment on the porch, my lips on his eyes widening not with longing, but with sorrow. He didn't pull away right away, and that hesitation haunts me. Did a part of him want it? Did he hate me for it? Or was it pity? Then Eli wakes up. Daddy? His voice cracks. I scoop him into my arms, burying my face in those soft curls, fighting not to sob. He sniffs, looks up at me. No, I whisper, he's not here anymore. Noah toddles in, holding a toy. Did I go? Question silences me. I have no answer. What do you say when you've tried to make a replacement real? By noon, Mom shows up. She must have seen the car left in the drive, or sensed the atmosphere. She stands in the doorway, arms crossed. What did you do, Olivia? Her voice isn't angry. It's gentle, controlled. But I already know I've disappointed her. I kissed him. Silence. My words hang heavy. Mom sighed, placed her bag on the kitchen counter. Leaned there, steady. He's not Jason, Olivia. A statement, more than a question. I know. My voice cracks. Do you? Her question is soft but sharp. I hate her in that moment. I hate that she cuts through me. You think I planned this? I shout. Tears spill over. That I fell apart so badly I'd grab the one person who looked like him. She unfolds her arms, softening. No. But grief. Grief makes us reach. For safety. For comfort. For anything that reminds us of what we lost. My shoulders shake. I slide into a chair, head in hands. My body feels empty. Hollow. I didn't mean to, I whisper. You miss Jason. We all do. But loving Ryan just because he looks like him, it isn't fair. To you or to him. I don't respond. I can't. And then I realize Ryan hasn't called. The boys are confused. I'm lost. And the one person I trusted to hold me together has left, just like Jason. I don't blame him. Narrated by Olivia Harper. Grief is a shapeshifter. Sometimes it's a quiet ache, tucked beneath your ribs, content to let you breathe a little. Other times, it comes like a wave during a thunderstorm, crashing over everything: logic, restraint, memory, and pulling you under. This morning, it came with a knock. I wasn't expecting anyone. Mom had gone home after her scolding comfort. The boys were watching cartoons. I wasn't even dressed, just a wrinkled t-shirt that might have been Jason's, or maybe Ryan's. I couldn't tell anymore. When I opened the door, my heart stopped. It was Ryan. Hair disheveled, eyes sunken from lack of sleep, lips slightly chapped. He looked like he hadn't eaten or showered properly in days. Hey, he said, voice hoarse. I opened the door wider, unsure if it was welcome or habit. He stepped in, and the air between us tightened like it was being vacuumed away. The boys heard his voice and ran to him, screaming, Daddy. Ryan flinched, and I broke all over again. He knelt, hugging them both like he'd missed them more than breath itself. I watched the way his hands shook when they touched him, the way he buried his face in Noah's hair. He was breaking, too. Once they ran off again, Ryan stood, eyes darting to me. But he didn't speak. So I did. I'm sorry. It came out raw. Honest. He nodded, slow. Me too. We stood there in silence, the kind that's too loud to ignore. I gestured to the kitchen. He followed. We sat across from each other like strangers in a house that once held everything dear. I shouldn't have kissed you, I said, staring at my hands. I shouldn't have let you. Those 5 words. They lanced through me. He wasn't just angry. He was blaming himself too. Do you hate me now? I asked quietly. No, he said, fast. Too fast. God, no. I looked up. His eyes were glassy. But I can't be him, Liv. I won't pretend. I know, I whispered. But when you left, it felt like I lost him all over again. His jaw clenched. When you kissed me, I felt like I was betraying him. I know. We sat with that. Then he whispered, sometimes I dream he's still here. That I never moved in. That you never needed me. And I wake up, guilty that I don't want to leave. That admission shattered me. Because I felt it too. This wasn't love, not yet. This was proximity. Trauma. Memories. A ghost wearing his brother's face. I don't know who I am anymore without Jason, I said, voice trembling. He was the sun, and I've been orbiting his memory. Ryan reached across the table, not touching, just close enough. You're still you, he said. You're a mother. A woman. You're more than his widow. I shook my head, but I wanted to believe I could still be a wife. That maybe if I kissed you, I could be her again, even just for a second. He finally reached for my hand. It's okay to want to feel whole again. But don't use me as glue. Tears spilled. I didn't wipe them. He didn't flinch. Then his phone buzzed. He looked at it, face changing. Tension. What is it? I asked. He hesitated. It's my job. They've offered me a position. Out of state. Everything inside me froze. You're leaving. I don't know. I wasn't going to take it. He paused. But after last night, I felt the panic rise. So, what this is goodbye. I didn't come here to say goodbye. I came to figure out if I still belong here. And do you? He looked at me, truly looked. I don't know yet. We sat in silence again. Only this time, it wasn't angry. It was grief. Love. Confusion. The boys ran in again, breaking the moment. Their laughter filled the kitchen. Ryan watched them, his eyes softening. I love them, he said. But I can't be their father. I know. And I can't be your husband. My voice cracked. I know. But maybe I can still be here. Until we figure it out. I nodded slowly, not sure what that even meant. Not sure if that would hurt more. But for now it was enough. We were both broken. Still haunted. Still trying. And maybe, just maybe, that's what healing looks like at first. Not closure, but honesty. Narrated by Olivia Harper. Grief doesn't end with tears. Sometimes it sharpens into silence. Other times, it turns into questions that don't have answers, questions you're too afraid to ask and too broken to live without. It had been 5 days since Ryan returned. 5 days of polite distance. 5 days of routine, of him waking up early to help with the boys, of us exchanging hollow smiles over coffee mugs. 5 days of pretending everything was okay, when deep down, everything was crumbling. And then, today, I found the letter. I wasn't snooping. I swear I wasn't. I had gone into the guest room to change the sheets. Ryan was still sleeping on the pullout, insisting it was better for everyone. A cardboard box sat half-tucked under the bed. I thought maybe it was old baby clothes or one of Jason's toolkits. But it wasn't. Inside were papers. Photos. A leather notebook I'd never seen before. And one envelope. My name written on it, in Jason's handwriting. For a moment, my breath caught so violently I thought I might collapse. My name, in his writing, the loops of the O, and the way he always pressed too hard when writing V, it was undeniably him. My hands shook as I opened it. Liv, if you're reading this, then I'm not coming home. God, even writing that feels impossible. But after the car accident last year, something inside me changed. I realized how fragile everything is. How little control we actually have. So I wrote this. Just in case. I need you to do something impossible. Live. Really live. Not for me. Not for the boys. For you. Because even before I was gone, you forgot how. You were always so much more than a wife. You were a storm and a shelter all at once. A fire that kept everyone warm, even when you were burning inside. And if my brother's there right now, if Ryan's the one standing beside you, I want you to let him. He deserves to be happy too. You both do. You don't have to feel guilty for surviving. Promise me you won't carry this grief like armor. Let it break. Let it bleed. And then let it heal. I'll love you in every life. But this one still belongs to you. Forever yours, Jason. I didn't remember falling to the floor. I just remember the coldness of the hardwood beneath my knees. The sob that tore through my throat sounded almost inhuman. My lungs refused to work. My fingers clutched the letter like it was oxygen. Jason knew. He knew. He blessed this. But I didn't feel relief. I felt fury. How dare he make peace with the idea of dying while I was still believing in forever? How dare he tell me to live when he took my world with him? The door creaked. Ryan stood in the doorway, sleep-mussed and barefoot, a look of dread already forming on his face. "You found it," he said softly. "You knew about this?" I choked. He nodded slowly. "He gave it to me a year ago. Told me not to open it unless something happened. And you just, what? Kept it from me. I didn't know when the right time was." And then after that night on the porch, his voice broke. "I was afraid it would make things worse." "It did," I spat. "It made everything worse, Ryan. Because now I don't know if anything between us is real or if we're just following some script Jason left behind." He stepped forward, but I backed away. "I kissed you because I was broken. You stayed because he told you to. That's not love. That's obligation dressed up in grief." He looked like I'd slapped him. "You think I stayed out of pity?" I don't know what to think anymore. The boys cried upstairs. The fight had gotten too loud. I didn't move. Ryan turned toward the stairs, but stopped halfway. "I stayed because I couldn't stand the thought of you facing any of this alone. Not because he asked. Because I wanted to." The tears came again. Hot. Ugly. Endless. "I don't know how to live without him," I whispered. "And now I feel like I've betrayed him twice, once by kissing you, and again by reading his goodbye." Ryan came closer. Slower this time. "You didn't betray him. You loved him. You still do. And maybe you always will." I shook my head. "It's not enough. It's never enough." He knelt in front of me. "Liv, none of this is about enough. It's about possible. It's about surviving. Some days, that's all we can do." There was silence. Just the two of us, kneeling beside a box of memories and a letter that changed everything. Then I whispered the one thing I hadn't dared admit until now. I don't know who I am without him. Ryan took my hand, gently, like he was holding something fragile. "Then let's figure it out together." And for the first time in months, I didn't pull away. Narrated by Olivia Harper. Grief doesn't follow logic. 1 minute, you're picking up toy trucks and wiping peanut butter off the kitchen walls, and the next, you're standing in the middle of the living room, clutching your dead husband's journal like it might bleed if you squeezed too hard. It had been 4 days since I found Jason's letter. 3 since Ryan and I stopped pretending. We talked for hours that night. We cried. We whispered. We promised nothing, except that we'd be honest from now on. That was the scariest promise of all. But the truth has layers. And sometimes it waits quietly until you're strong enough, or broken enough to face it. That morning, after dropping the boys off at daycare, I sat at the kitchen table and opened Jason's old leather-bound notebook. I didn't even know he kept one. He never struck me as the journaling type. But there it was, worn from use, pages frayed at the edges. The first few entries were what I expected, musings about work, the boy's birth, the way I laughed in my sleep. Then it shifted. March 12th. Liv looked at me differently today. Like she didn't recognize me. I said something dumb, spilled juice all over the counter, and she looked so tired. I miss when her eyes lit up just because I walked into a room. I think she's slipping away, and I don't know how to hold on. May 2nd, I had another blackout. Only for a few seconds, but it scared me. I didn't tell Liv. She has enough to worry about. What if something's wrong with me? June 18th, saw the neurologist. He suspects microseizures. Wants to run more tests. What if I'm dying? What happens to Liv? The boys? I'm terrified, and I can't tell anyone. July 9th, I called Ryan today. Told him if anything ever happens to me, he needs to be there for her. He swore he would. I didn't want to ask, but I also didn't know who else could love her the way I do. August 23rd, I feel like I'm living on borrowed time. Liv doesn't know. And I don't know if it's more cruel to tell her or to let her keep believing we have forever. The words blurred. I was crying again. Always crying. Jason knew. He knew. The accident wasn't random. He'd been sick. He'd been hiding it. From me. From everyone. And worst of all, he chose not to tell me. The door opened. Ryan stepped in, carrying groceries. I picked up more diapers. He stopped when he saw my face. What happened? I slid the journal across the table, open to July 9th. He read it silently. His jaw tensed. You knew. His voice was barely a whisper. He asked me not to tell you. Said he didn't want to make you worry unless it was confirmed. But it was confirmed, I said, my voice shaking. He was dying. And he let me believe it was just a car crash. He let me think I lost him in a blink when, in reality, he was already fading. I'm sorry, Liv. I didn't know how bad it was either. He never told me the full truth. I stood, pushing back from the table. So that's it? He carried the secret, and you just kept walking around like everything was fine. I was trying to honor his wishes, Ryan said gently. Maybe that was a mistake. I wanted to scream. Or throw something. Or just collapse into someone's arms and disappear. But instead, I whispered I needed to be part of his pain. And he took that from me. Ryan stepped forward. Maybe he was trying to protect you. I didn't want protection. I wanted honesty. I wanted to fight with him, cry with him, hold his hand while he slipped away, not wake up to an empty bed and a phone call from the police. The room was heavy with silence. Only the hum of the refrigerator filled the space between us. I hate him for this, I whispered. And I love him so much I can't breathe. Ryan nodded. You're allowed to feel both. I broke down then. My knees gave out. Ryan caught me mid-fall, held me like I was made of glass and flame. I sobbed against his chest, grief ripping out of me in waves. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. I was falling for Ryan. And the more I learned about Jason, the secrets, the silent suffering, the further away he felt. Like he was already becoming memory instead of presence, echo instead of anchor. Later that night, I found another entry. September 30th, if she ever finds this, I want her to know. I didn't tell her because I didn't want our last days to be wrapped in fear. I wanted her laughter. Her eyes. Our boys. I wanted her to remember me alive. Not dying. And if she's falling for Ryan, I hope she lets herself. I hope she doesn't hate me for that. He'll never replace me. But he'll remind her how to love. And maybe that's enough. I closed the journal. Tears soaked the pages. Jason was right. Ryan could never replace him. But he could carry the pieces I no longer could. And just when I thought I'd found a sliver of peace, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Hi, Olivia. You don't know me, but I knew Jason. He wasn't the man you think he was. Can we meet? My blood turned to ice. Another secret. Another twist. Another ghost stepping out of the dark. Narrated by Olivia Harper. Some betrayals don't scream. They whisper. And when they do, they echo louder than any scream ever could. The wind howled through the trees as I sat in the back booth of the coffee shop, staring at the front door like it owed me an explanation. I hadn't told Ryan about the message. I didn't know what it meant yet. I didn't want to believe what my gut already feared. A woman finally stepped through the glass doors. Maybe mid-30s. Long black hair tucked beneath a gray beanie. Her eyes found mine instantly, stormy, unreadable. She slid into the booth across from me like we were old friends. We weren't. Olivia? She asked. I nodded, heart racing. You said you knew Jason. She gave a sad smile. I did. I'm Eliza. Eliza, I repeated, testing the name like it was poison. How exactly did you know my husband? She didn't flinch. I was in love with him. The world stopped. I stared at her like she'd spoken in tongues. I'm sorry, what? She pulled something from her coat pocket. A crumpled photo. Jason, holding hands with her, laughing. We were together, she said, voice trembling, for almost a year. I couldn't breathe. My hands shook as I took the photo. My brain tried to rationalize, tried to make it make sense. No, that's not possible. Jason wasn't. He wouldn't. He told me he was married. Eliza interrupted, said it was complicated, that your marriage had been falling apart for years. I blinked back rage. He said that? Yes, but I didn't come here to hurt you. I came here because I found something. After he died, I thought maybe I was just another secret, some affair he had no intention of keeping. But then I found this. She slid a folded letter across the table. My name was on the front. Olivia. In Jason's handwriting. I opened it with trembling hands. Liv, if you're reading this, I guess you've met Eliza. I'm sorry. For the betrayal. For the lie. But please, understand, she wasn't a mistake. And neither were you. I loved you. I always loved you. But somewhere along the way, I started to disappear. The illness, the fear, the pressure of being perfect Jason, I lost myself. And in the dark, I found someone who saw a version of me I didn't recognize anymore. It doesn't mean I stopped loving you. But I broke something sacred between us. I know that. And I didn't know how to fix it without breaking you too. I kept the truth from you because I wanted to die your husband. Not your mistake. Please forgive me. Jason, my tears hit the paper like tiny bombs. This was the second time he'd lied to me. Not just about dying, but about who he was, who we were. I looked at Eliza. Why now? Why are you telling me this now? Because I couldn't carry it anymore, she said quietly. I thought he would leave you. He said he might. And then he got sick and everything changed. I thought I knew him, I whispered. I built a life with him. I buried him. So did I, Eliza replied, her voice cracking. Just in a different way. I stood abruptly. I couldn't breathe in that cafe. I needed to scream. Or vomit. Or just vanish. Please don't hate me, she said as I turned to leave. I didn't answer. I didn't know who I hated more, her, Jason, or myself. The sun was setting when I finally got home. Ryan was waiting on the porch, his face full of concern. You've been gone all day, he said. I was worried. I handed him the letter. He read it in silence. His face grew pale. You knew? I asked softly. No, he said quickly. God, no. I swear to you, Olivia, I didn't know about her. I thought the biggest secret he kept was his illness. He cheated on me, I whispered. He looked me in the eye every day and lied. Ryan stepped forward, tried to take my hand. You don't have to go through this alone. I pulled away. I don't even know what's real anymore, Ryan. I don't know if we are real. Or if you're just another echo of him, doing what he asked. That's not fair, he said, voice tightening. I didn't choose this. I didn't ask to fall in love with you. I didn't ask to fall apart. We stood there, staring at each other like strangers. I need space, I said finally. I need to figure out who I am without him. Without you. Ryan nodded, hurt flashing across his face like lightning. Then I'll wait. For as long as it takes. I walked inside, heart shattering with every step. That night, I sat on the bathroom floor, holding Jason's wedding ring in one hand and his letter in the other. The silence was deafening. I finally understood that grief isn't just mourning what you lost. It's mourning what you thought you had. And maybe, just maybe, that's the cruelest part of love. It doesn't always die with the person. Sometimes it lives on in the lies they left behind. Grief, I've learned, is not a straight line. It's a spiral staircase. You think you're making progress, only to circle back to the same ache, the same question. How do you mourn a man you're still discovering? It had been 3 days since Eliza. 3 days since the letter. 3 days of numb silence between me and Ryan. He'd moved out, just 2 blocks away. He came by to see the boys. We barely spoke. And I hadn't cried. Not once. Instead, I cleaned. The garage, the closets, the attic, every corner of this house Jason had touched. Maybe I thought if I dug deep enough, I'd find a version of him that made sense again. But in the attic, what I found was something else entirely. It was buried in a worn cardboard box labeled Christmas stuff. I almost missed it. Tucked between a tangle of broken lights and old wrapping paper was a leather-bound journal, Jason's handwriting embossed on the first page. Private. Do not open. But I did, because I wasn't a wife anymore. I was a woman holding the remains of a life built on silence. And what I read took the ground from beneath me. October 7th, Eliza is pregnant. She hasn't told me yet, but I know. I saw the vitamins in her bathroom drawer. She's quieter. Scared. I should be scared too, but instead, I feel numb. God help me, I don't know what I want anymore. October 15th, I lied to live today. Again. She asked if I was okay. I said yes. We watched a movie and held hands like nothing was wrong. I felt like a ghost in my own life. October 30th, Ryan suspects something. He keeps asking questions, poking around. If he ever finds out, it'll break him. He thinks I'm some kind of hero. But I'm not. I'm a coward with 2 lives, and I'm failing at both. November 3rd, Eliza miscarried. She didn't even tell me in person, just a text. It's over. Part of me feels relieved. Another part feels gutted. What kind of man does that make me? November 18th, doctor says it's terminal. 6 months, maybe less. I walked out of the hospital and drove around for hours. Didn't tell anyone. What's the point? Olivia has the boys. She'll be fine. Better off, even. December 2nd, I asked Ryan to take care of her. I told him she would need him. That she wouldn't survive this alone. I saw the look in his eyes when I said it. He already loved her. Maybe he always did. I stopped reading. My fingers trembled, the journal thudding to the floor. I couldn't breathe. My mind swam with the sick realization. Jason knew. He knew he was dying. He knew what he'd done. He knew Ryan loved me. And he handed me over like a keepsake. I sat at the kitchen table for hours, the journal beside me like a loaded weapon. The boys napped upstairs. Rain tapped at the windows, rhythmic and cruel. I called Ryan. Told him to come over. He arrived in 10 minutes, soaked, breathless. What's going on? He asked. Are you okay? I didn't speak. I just handed him the journal. He read silently, page after page. His hands clenched, his jaw tight. Then he looked up at me with something I hadn't seen in his eyes before. Guilt. You knew, I said quietly. He shook his head. Not all of it. Just the part where Jason told me to take care of you. I didn't know about Eliza. Or the baby. Or that he planned this like some kind of transition. He used you, I whispered. He used me. No, Ryan said firmly. He was dying. He was scared. And yes, he was selfish. But everything I've done, I didn't do it for him. I did it for you. Because I love you. I stood up so fast my chair scraped the floor. You think that makes this okay? No, he said. Nothing makes this okay. But it doesn't change what's real between us. What's real? I laughed bitterly. Ryan, I don't even know who I am anymore. I was Jason's wife. Then his widow. Now I'm the woman he gifted to his brother in his dying days like a goddamn consolation prize. Tears burned in my throat. Do you even see how twisted that is? Ryan stepped forward. Olivia, we've survived the unimaginable. And yeah, maybe it started in pain and confusion. But I love you. Not because Jason asked me to, but because somewhere along the way, you became my reason to wake up. I need time, I said, voice cracking. I need to figure out who I am without being someone's tragedy. He nodded, heartbroken. I'll wait. Even if you never come back. I'll wait. And then he left. That night, I sat with Jason's journal on my lap, the rain still falling. I flipped to the last page. January 12th, if you're reading this, live. I'm sorry. For everything. For the love I gave and the love I stole. I hope someday you can forgive me. I hope you find peace. I hope you find yourself not through me. Not through Ryan. Just you. Love always, Jason. I closed the book. And for the first time in a long time, I let myself sob. Not for Jason. Not for Ryan. Not even for what I lost. But for the woman I'd forgotten how to be. Grief doesn't just sit beside you. It becomes you. It wraps around your bones. It settles under your skin. It colors every thought, every breath, every memory. But sometimes, just when you start to find a rhythm in the silence, it knocks again louder. This time, it came in the form of a woman on my front porch. She stood there with a beige coat, clinging to her frame, rain droplets shining in her dark curls. Her eyes, green, tired, held a knowledge I didn't understand yet. Not until she spoke. "You're Olivia," she said. Her voice trembled, as if saying my name required effort. "I'm Naomi." I blinked. I'm sorry, do I know you?" She looked down at her hands. "No. But I knew Jason. A long time ago." My heart stopped. Not again. I almost slammed the door, but something in her eyes, something raw, almost motherly, rooted me in place. "I think it's time you heard everything," Naomi whispered. "Everything Jason never told you." We sat at the kitchen table. She didn't touch the tea I made. Naomi was in her 50s, elegant in that effortless way some women carry grief, as if time stitched their pain into quiet dignity. "I met Jason when he was 17, she said. "He was at a youth shelter downtown. He'd been living in his car for weeks." I froze. Jason never told me that. Naomi gave a faint smile. "Of course he didn't. He didn't want anyone to know who he used to be. He reinvented himself the moment he met you." I gripped my mug like an anchor. "Why are you telling me this now?" She reached into her purse and slid a faded photograph across the table. Jason, younger, thinner, bruised under one eye, standing beside a girl. "That's my daughter," she said. "Sophie. She looks like him." Naomi nodded, tears brimming. "Because she is his daughter." I stood up so fast I knocked my mug to the floor. It shattered. "No," I whispered. "No, he would have told me. He would have told me." Naomi's voice cracked. "He didn't." "Because he lost her. And he thought he deserved to." I stared at the photo, at the little girl with Jason's eyes and Naomi's curls. "Where is she now?" "She died 6 years ago. Car accident." She was only 20. The silence split the room in half. "I wrote to him after the funeral," Naomi whispered. "Told him he didn't have to come, but I thought he should know. He never responded. I assumed he wanted to forget us." I was shaking. "Why now?" Naomi's lips trembled. "Because he wrote to me 3 weeks before he died. Said he was sorry. Said he'd failed all of us. He asked me to come find you. Said you were the only person who ever saw him the way he wished he was." My knees buckled. I sat. "I thought I knew everything," I said, voice barely there. "But he had a daughter. A whole other life." Naomi nodded. "He was barely a boy himself. He didn't know how to be a father. I didn't chase him. Maybe I should have." I looked down. "He died with so many secrets." Naomi reached across the table, took my hand. "And still, you were his piece, Olivia. That's why I came. Not to shatter you, but to say thank you for giving him something beautiful in the end." That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, clutching Sophie's photo like a lifeline. I felt like I was mourning 2 people, the Jason I knew and the boy he used to be. The journal, the affair, the sickness, the child I never knew about, it all bled together. I was no longer angry, just tired. Bone-deep tired. I needed to talk to someone. Ryan didn't answer when I called. I drove to his apartment anyway. When he opened the door, he looked surprised, but not unwelcoming. His eyes held the exhaustion of a man who'd read every page of my sorrow and still stood at the door for the next chapter. I need to talk, I said. He stepped aside. We sat on his couch. Quiet. There's more, I said. Jason had a daughter. Before me. She died 6 years ago. Ryan's face froze. Her name was Sophie. And Naomi, her mother, came to see me. He wrote to her before he died. He asked her to find me. Ryan let out a shaky breath. How many lives was he living? Too many, I said. And the worst part? I don't even hate him. Ryan reached over, laced his fingers with mine. You don't have to hate him, he whispered. You just have to let him go. I broke. Finally, I leaned into Ryan's chest and sobbed for everything. Jason, Sophie, Naomi, the marriage I lost, the pieces I was still finding. He held me until the storm passed. And then I said the words I never thought I'd say. I want to know who I am now. Not as Jason's widow. Not as your maybe. Just me. Ryan kissed my forehead. Then let's figure it out. Together. Or apart. Whatever you need. And I believed him. That night, I dreamed of Sophie. She looked like Jason. But she had my smile. She didn't say a word. She just looked at me. And nodded. Like she understood. The morning light slipped through the curtains like a soft promise. It felt strange, hopeful even, in a house that had been heavy with silence for so long. I hadn't slept well. Not since Naomi's visit and the revelation about Sophie. My mind swirled with questions, regrets, and 1,000 what-ifs. But there was one last thing I needed to face. Ryan sat beside me on the porch, the boys playing in the yard under the warm sun. His presence was steady. Safe. I took a deep breath. There's someone I need to meet, I said. Someone who knew Sophie. She is something Jason left behind. Ryan nodded. I'll be there. The small cafe where we met was tucked between old bookstores and a flower shop. The woman who greeted me was gentle, maybe a little shy, but her eyes sparkled with quiet strength. I'm Claire, she said, handing me a worn envelope. Sophie's best friend. Jason gave me this to give to you if anything ever happened to him. My hands trembled as I broke the seal. Inside was a letter. Jason's handwriting, shaky, raw, but unmistakably his. Olivia, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone. And there's so much I never said, so many mistakes I made. I wanted you to know I loved you. You gave me a chance at a life I never thought I could have. You and the boys, you're my heart. Sophie, she was my first love, my first heartbreak. I wasn't ready to be a father, and I ran because I was scared. I was selfish. But every day after I left, I carried her with me in every choice, every hope for a better man. I'm sorry I couldn't be the husband or the father you deserved. I'm sorry for the secrets and the silence. If you can forgive me, know this. You made me whole again. Love always. Jason. Tears fell freely. Not just for Jason, but for the boy who had been lost, the man who had tried, and the family that could have been. Ryan pulled me into a hug, and I let myself lean on him. We can build something new, he whispered. I want to believe that, I said, the weight in my chest starting to lift. That night, I tucked the boys into bed. Eli pressed his tiny hand against my cheek and whispered, Mommy, can we be happy again? I smiled through my tears. Yes, baby, we will be. And for the first time since Jason died, I believed it. Grief will always be part of me, but love, that's what will carry us forward.